Ready Check Radio.
Stand by as we get ready to serve up all your news this week in the world of gaming. Welcome to Gaming Gumbo.
What's up, Internet? It's Saturday at 7 p.m. Eastern. That means here on Ready Check Radio, it's time for Gaming Gumbo, your weekly gaming wrap-up show. I'm your host, as always, Mike Byrne, a.k.a. Magic Man. We're doing the show live, twitch.tv/ReadyCheckRadio, as we always do. So go ahead and join us. We've got chat standing by. I'm sure they'll have opinions on everything we're talking about today. If you're watching on iTunes or watching on YouTube, listening on iTunes, Spotify, whatever, thank you so much. Give it a like, a subscribe, turn on notifications, write a review, comment, all that stuff that helps the thing grow. And then if you like what we do, tell a friend. You can join us over at ReadyCheckRadio.com. Full backlog of not only this show, but also The Relic Grind and Snowbound, that long, long gone show about Blizzard. Maybe it'll come back. I don't know. We'll see how the whole acquisition stuff goes. And you know, I'm not exactly keen on them right now with 1,900 layoffs, but we'll see what happens over the coming months here. But you can check out all the backlog of our shows there, and all the socials are in the upper right-hand corner of the site. So you can follow us everywhere, and you'll know when we're live doing all kinds of goofy stuff. Joining me today to talk about some fun gaming stuff, Mr. Dom Greco. What's up, sir?
Hello, hello. How's it going?
Yeah, if you're watching on iTunes, how?
If you're watching on iTunes, you can totally see my Sonic the Hedgehog background.
Yes. Are we on a Green Hill Zone, yeah. Green Hill Zone, yeah. It's looking spiffy. Don't disappear into the back like you did in the Christmas episode.
If I did, it would be to go lay down because my bed is directly behind me.
Is it made?
No.
Son of a bitch. All right.
Never made my bed a day in my life.
Also joining us today, resident artist of Ready Check Radio, it's Yod. What's up, sir?
Yeah, you know, if he went in the background, he'd have to zip around and spin and stuff.
Just at least pick up the ring while you're there.
Right? It's just kind of twirling behind him, and I'm like,
it's like right over his shoulder there.
I have one of those like memory foam beds that like the frame bends on. I could probably turn it into a half pipe.
It'd be a very, very tight one, but it would be a half pipe. It would be a half pipe. Gents, we got a lot of stuff to talk about. Programming note, no show next week. Torchwick will be back in town, and he and I are headed off to Monster Jam, our annual Christmas present tradition between him and I. So we're going to go see the monster trucks and get all dusty, I'm sure. So no show next week and no Torchwick stream next week. You still will have Tark, and tonight Torchwick and Tark will be streaming as usual, but no Gaming Gumbo next week. There will be Relic Grind as normal. Gents, let's dive right into it, right? The big news in gaming this week, no matter what your platform, well, I guess it does kind of matter your platform for some things, was Sony's State of Play, right? Mm-hmm. They kicked off the show this week, about 40 minutes of various trailers, reveals, with a few advertisements thrown in there. We're not going to really talk about the advertisements like foam stars and stuff like that, but we are going to talk about the bigger reveals, and I think we should start with what was probably the biggest as far as Sony's point of view, but I think what you think the biggest was in this is really going to be down to personal preference, because the biggest, as far as Sony's point of view, was probably Hideo Kojima's Death Stranding Simulator 2 on the beach.
FedEx Simulator Mexico edition.
Now, it's supposed to arrive a little later this year. Kind of an odd title, right? Death Stranding 2 on the beach. Sam Bridges is back. You know, we've got our Norman Reedus fill. He's got like a talking puppet thing. Like, I'm not exactly sure what's going on there, but we did get to see some of the recurring characters and new characters. So Sam and Fragile are there, and then there was like this like George Miller and a little puppet that was played by head-on director Faith Akin, and I don't know. It's coming in 2025. So I'm sorry, not later this year, 2025. So we still got time for this one. Dom, what did you think? First off, what did you think of the first one? I don't think we ever really like dove into that.
No, I never played the first. I own it. Haha, surprise.
Is it in the box wrapped, shrink wrapped?
It might be. I know where it is. It's 2 rooms away on a shelf. But yeah, I think it is sealed still. I did actually plan on playing this one when it came out, and then by the time that I went to play it, it was like 3 days into it, and the reviews were very mixed. Like the environment, the story was good, but like the gameplay was very monotonous and very like, walking simulator and building roads and whatever. And it just, I'm not a big builder in stuff like that. So I don't play a lot of survival based building games. So for me, it just, once I found out that was like the majority of the game, I kind of lost interest and never went to it. But I do love Kojima. I love the stories it tells. So I didn't even consider like, I'm going to return this game because I wanted to keep it. I wanted to support Kojima, especially.
Yeah, I'm a Kojima fan too. I do think occasionally he gets a little like too clever for his own good type thing, where you're kind of like, oh god, okay, yeah, I get what you were trying to do, but you kind of stretched the shit out of this one right now. Like I do get it, and I feel like he's such like he's so inspired by like movies that it's like, why don't you just make a movie then? Because like
I would love
Death Stranding felt like a lot of movie to me. I bought it on release day. Again, big fan, just like you. I never beat it. I never beat it. I got probably about 10 hours into it or so before I finally was just like, you know what? I love some of the things that are going on here. But the game itself just isn't for me. I'm not enjoying it. And I don't want to force myself to play through this. I'll go watch like a story recap YouTube video because I did want to see that type of stuff. But I did love like the visuals, some of the concepts, like the rain that ages things. I did particularly like some of the transitions. Like there was one of those although it did feel like we were like being forced to dive into Hideo Kojima's like iPod playlist at certain points. But there were some very nice transitions, like one of the opening ones after you're in the game for 15 or 20 minutes when the camera like pans back, but you're still moving the character and it shows the like big landscape, and then the first like cut of music comes up. It was I loved all of the presentational aspects, the story aspects, but the game just wasn't for me. Yod, being a PlayStation thing, was it something you had ever tried out, the original?
I did not try it out. I had a couple friends that were playing it, and like I said, walking simulator, FedEx simulator. There was a lot of that thrown around. I mean, the visuals are beautiful.
Yeah.
And Kojima Studios has raised the bar on graphics so high with this stuff. I mean, the trailer we're all watching on this on the stream it's a movie, and like you said, at this point, just make a freaking movie. I'd watch this as a movie. Weird, freaky cat with wings, sure. Weird technology, yeah. We don't have to play Norman Reedus walking around. We can just watch him.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm just spoiled by the Last of Us movies, but I don't, or TV series, but I don't want a movie. I want a TV series. Like that's the only way I feel like you can do character development and world building justice is in a TV series. Movie is just too rushed. You're cramming a whole, however long this game is in a 2-hour window would not feel good. It just, I would need a TV series for this.
I can see that. You know what I mean?
Looking forward at the sequel, I don't know. Like I'm not excited about it, but that's because I did not particularly enjoy the first one enough gameplay-wise to finish it. It's one that I'm definitely interested in the story, to see what happens and where things go and see exactly how strange and obscure Kojima gets at certain points. So it's one of those weird ones for me, Dom, because, I want to support Kojima. By the way, he's like one of the only weird ones that can manage a relationship with Xbox and Sony right now. Like he's doing big things on both platforms. yeah, I want to support him, but I'm also like, do I really? I probably won't buy this on launch day. I just don't feel like I want to spend $60 or $70 for something that I know I'm probably not gonna like the gameplay. Unless I see reviews and there's like some drastic differences in it, then maybe I'll consider it. But everything we know so far looks pretty similar.
Yeah.
With a few additions, I'm sure we'll see over the course of this year. So it might be like a wait for a sale for me to actually buy it. But yeah, if you love Death Stranding, you're probably super excited. I was just lukewarm on it at best.
Yeah. How do you think Kojima feels having like the top spot in a Sony State of Play alongside, like Silent Hill and stuff? Like,
Yeah, Silent Hill.
Yeah.
It's got to be a weird feeling.
I do have to say this though, like as much as I love Kojima's stuff, I feel like he gets his ass kissed way more than it needs to be. Like way more than it needs to be. Like Jeff Keighley would lift him over a puddle of water, 1940s, soldier coming home from war with his lady style. I could actually he would take off his jacket and set it on the puddle so that Kojima wouldn't get wet. Like and I don't know. Anyway, that's the total sidebar. But yeah, definitely one of the more creative of our time, but also probably more of an acquired taste for a lot of people. Some things I think Kojima does, and I'm just like, you're fucking weird.
It's got to be weird though, having Kojima and Norman Reedus having the top spot when we were so close to Silent Hills, and it's just like, that
wasn't the only Kojima reveal though. That wasn't the only. Now we didn't get to see anything here, and I am far more interested in this.
Yeah.
Like it's not even close. And I don't know if Torchwick saw this, but it should make him super excited. Obviously, Kojima known for stealth, action, espionage, Metal Gear Solid, right? He didn't necessarily invent the genre, but certainly molded it in the way we view the genre today.
He refined it. He refined it.
With the whole Metal Gear series. And they teased a new action espionage game. And they kind of, when the camera pulled back out of the studio that they were at, maybe this is the exact title. We don't know, but, could be. But it's how it's going to be referenced for now. So depending on what you're thinking, it could be Physint or Physint, which would be like a physical intelligence or a psychological intelligence. There's lots of governmental departments that end with INT. So we'll have to see where this goes. But it's supposed to be a new action espionage game. Very excited, Dom, to see what goes on here.
Yeah.
But that's all we know.
Yeah.
It is.
Kojima he just seems like the only one that we've seen thus far, at least, that's been able to go, okay, you won't let me make that game. I'm gonna go over here and make my own with blackjack and hookers.
Yeah. You got to feel like when Konami saw this announcement, it did say Columbia Pictures. That was the marquee that this was on. So is there going to be a movie tie-in? Is it going to be two separate products? Like, we don't know exactly. There's a lot that could happen with this one, but it's in collaboration with Sony. They call it a next-generation action espionage game, and they said it will transcend the barriers between games and movies. So whether that's, hey, we're going to do something really special in game, or there's going to be some external movie tie-in, like, who knows exactly what it looks like. But I feel like you've got to love, if you love Metal Gear, I know Torchwick does, then you have to be excited by this. And if you work for Konami, you're probably like, yeah, shit.
The last Metal Gear I played was the third one. I still haven't played 4 or Phantom Pain. But
really,
but I am also I consider myself a big fan of Metal Gear. I don't know. I never got there.
Flynn saying from Hideo's Twitter, of course, this is an interactive game, but the look, story, theme, cast, acting, fashion, sound, etc. are all the level of digital entertainment that could be called a movie. So all in one product is what that kind of indicates there. But I think you would also, like, if you ask Kojima, he would say that exact sentence applies to Death Stranding.
Right.
Like,
And,
yeah.
I mean, like I said, we were watching that trailer. It looks like you could just watch it as a TV show, movie, miniseries, whatever you want to call it. But it looks real, so why not just go for it?
Yeah.
This was one we talked about when we first saw it a long time ago. It was known as Project Eve back then. And Yad, I know this was one that you were really interested in. You kind of like this style of potential like RPG-ish or action-ish games. And you kind of like I don't know. Anyway, we got to see Stellar Blade. That is the new
Yes.
name for Project Eve, and that was announced a while ago. We saw it for the PlayStation 5. It was originally supposed to come out in 2023, but now it's coming out this April 26th. So the city of Shion's fallen and battling monsters, and very anime-ish in style, but not in art style, if that makes sense.
Yes and no.
It's kind of got that like over-the-top high action look without the cartoonish aspect of anime.
I mean, when you push anime to a certain extent with CGI and stuff like that, there have been certain styles that do replicate this look. Especially
True. Yeah.
Especially more recently, where they have the toon shaded CG complete 3D model stuff in animation and stuff like that. In Japan, they do kind of emulate this kind of look. They just use toon shaders on top of it. So yeah, it is very anime, and it does look pretty slick.
Yeah, from the PR speak for it, right? Take it for what it's worth. Engage in blisteringly fast combat as you slash a path through the remnants of Earth, facing epic boss encounters that will challenge both brain and brawn in equal measure. Unleash graceful yet brutal attack combos and unlock new moves as you progress, with customizable skills based on your playstyle. Upgrade Eve's weapons to boost your chances as each boss battle becomes progressively more demanding. And I think, Dom, when we first talked about this way back in the day, that we were like, sweet, a Bayonetta style game that's not a Bayonetta game.
Right.
I'm all for it. Give me more of that.
Yeah, I was just about to comment. I think it feels more like a Bayonetta style than in the anime. But yeah.
I mean,
and then I guess I'll just
is kind of anime-ish.
Yeah, it definitely is.
You got freaking guns on your high heels, man.
Yeah. I mean, where else are you gonna put them?
Not in your hands. That's just weird.
That's because you got two more guns in your hands.
I'm going to leave the camera on Dom here because I feel like he's going to be the most excited for this one.
Why?
Sonic X Shadow Generations. So Sonic Generations back from 2011. Yep. Now that's coming back with two Sonics. Shadow the Hedgehog, now a big player in Sonic X Shadow Generations. This is coming later this year in the fall to both the PlayStation 4 and 5.
Yeah, Sonic Generations came in at a time where it was like 3D Sonics were not doing very well. And everybody was like saying the franchise is dead, it's done. Generations came out and kind of revitalized and showed that 3D Sonics can work. And then kind of like jumping into the 2D, going backward a little bit, paying homage to that felt really good. So this is exciting. This is very exciting. And jumping on Shadow right now when you got Shadow coming in Sonic the Hedgehog 3 movie, smart play.
I don't remember the last time I sat down and played a Sonic game to like a great extent.
No.
Probably Sonic and Knuckles.
No. I own, what is it, Sonic Colors, I think?
Okay. Yeah.
No, it was some collection thing that recently is more recent. I don't know. But yeah, it was a collection of like 2D reimagining type stuff. I don't remember which
Sonic
one that
Spinball is still my favorite.
Oh, Spinball. Yeah, Spinball was great.
Mhm.
Casino level for the win. Casino levels for the win.
Yep.
A few other small notes here. Dave the Diver is getting a Godzilla package on
That
it.
looks
I'm sure
fun.
that made Yod real happy. Such a
Yep.
Godzilla fan.
Oh,
Zenless Zone Zero. That's another one by HoYoverse, the makers of Genshin Impact. This is coming to PlayStation 5. It's not just PlayStation 5 on this one, though. Of course, State of Play tries to not advertise what other platforms things will be on. But yeah, this is going to be for PC as well. So if you like that single player kind of multiplayer, if you want your friends to come occasionally, but long form RPG-ish like Genshin Impact, Zenless Zone Zero looks to be adopting more of a kind of a tech aspect than Genshin's magic aspect, utilizing guns and things like that.
Might actually
Uh,
try that.
Did you like Genshin? I mean, if you
I-
did, there is zero reason for you not to try Zenless.
I didn't try Genshin, but I do enjoy tech over magic. So
Yeah, the only thing I don't like about I actually really liked Genshin when it first came out, but I'm not a fan of gacha pools.
Yeah.
And that's really big in the HoYoverse project or
course.
products. Yeah, it's like, hey, this is this month's banner, and I'm like, fuck this, I'm out of here. But I'm in the minority, man. That game is making bajillions.
Yeah, it's that urgency to play. They keep you, like you said, that this is this month's such and such. This is this week's. You have this amount of time to do this. It keeps the audience playing and addicted to constantly getting these things they want. The fallout, though, it becomes when you start producing things that your fans don't want.
Yeah.
And then they go, so why am I playing again? Yeah.
Then we get to what was my most excited for reveal. And then after, I don't know, my excitement might have turned to a little trepidation. A little trepidation.
Oh.
Yeah. That was, and I'm sure Havoc is going to be excited about this one too. Silent Hill 2 remake. Finally get to see a little bit of it. This is coming out sometime this year, supposedly, for the PlayStation 5 and the PC. We've been waiting for this forever. Forever. But now we're going to get to jump back into James Sunderland's horror experience in Silent Hill 2 and see what happens. Now, I don't know. I'm going to go last here because I don't want to taint anybody's opinion, and I know all three of us are eagerly excited and anticipating this one. But what do you think of the reveal, Dom?
Oh boy, I'm just nostalgia goggled, but I'm very excited for it still. I don't know. There's a lot about Silent Hill 2 that just brings back. So my very first experience playing Silent Hill 2, right? I went down. We had my parents' house. We had the basement set up. It was a finished basement. We had a 7.1 stereo surround sound system. The speakers on each side of the TV were almost as tall as me. They're massive speakers from back in the day. And my parents were out for the weekend. I go down at 10 o'clock at night, turn all the lights off, put this game in, crank the sound up. I'm sitting there playing, and then the creature runs out from under the car. And I threw my controller.
You were done.
I ran out the stairs, and I didn't come back. So the game sat open all night. Yeah. So that's the start of the game, you know? So it took a bit, but I got back down. And I love, and you think when you get the radio, it's that they're coming and it's better because no, it's worse because now you have this impending dread that they're around every corner. So yeah, I don't know. I have huge love for this game. I do wish they did the first one first, but this one I understand is a bigger deal and more people like this one than the first one. So this is the one, if you're gonna remake it, you start here. I get all that, but I'm hoping we go back to the first one. I'm excited. I think this looks good. I like some of the way the cutscenes are styled, that very different from how it was originally presented. But I do like changing things slightly, as long as you're not making big story impact changes.
Yod, what are you thinking?
I'm with Dom. I don't know what is it. It's just it looks like what I was expecting, and it's just giving me more of it. Where it's an updated version. You're seeing those familiar villains, those four leg, two on bottom, two on top, wiggly things, whatever you want to call them.
Nurse, mannequin
The
nurses.
mannequin nurses. I thought the
That's
mannequin
what I
nurses was the bandaged up, weird, freaky nurses.
Yeah, I mean that's why I call them mannequins, because the mannequins are all assembled funny.
It's
Yeah.
kind of weird that like that character or that monster model has become like so iconic in the world of Silent Hill, right?
Oh yeah.
Because it wasn't used until Silent Hill 2, and if you go and play the original Silent Hills, like they're all very like the monsters are all very symbolic to the narrative. Like there is a definite in James's adventure here in Silent Hill 2. There's very much a shades of sexual oppression.
Right.
In his psyche that leads to these monsters looking this way. There's lots of subtle things like that, but it's like, everyone's like, well, where are the nurses? Well, they shouldn't be in every game. That was like, that was his manifestation of like sexual repression and things.
In the first one, there was the weird, creepy babies in the bathroom that were like scuttling around, and each one is supposed to have its own feel to it.
I'm very excited for this. Don't get me wrong. Like the whole reason I bought the Medium and played that on stream was because I wanted to see what Bloober Team was going to do in a horror type environment, knowing that obviously the Medium was going to be very different from Silent Hill. But the rumor was they were the company that could potentially be working on the remake of Silent Hill 2 at the time. It was just a rumor, and I like horror games anyway, so I'll give them a shot. And I enjoyed the Medium, but it was average. It was just average for me. It was an okay game. I'm glad I played it. I will never play a second playthrough type deal.
Okay.
So obviously I'm still a little nervous on Silent Hill 2 just for that aspect of it, who the development team is and their pedigree in this field, in this genre. I love the monster design in the trailers. I liked some of the environments in the trailers. I thought some other environments were way more visually exposed than they should be in this game. Because remember, obviously they were dealing with PlayStation 1 and 2 limitations back in the day of Silent Hill 1 and 2. But I felt like, I was able to see too much. And then one thing I didn't like, and I hope it's just the way they cut the trailer, this trailer focused an awful lot on combat. An awful lot on combat. And while that is something that happens in Silent Hill and Silent Hill 2, combat always in those games took a back seat. It was like the last thing you wanted to do was to try and engage these things in most cases. And they showed off so much combat that I hope that they haven't... I guess what's a good way to describe this? I hope they haven't Resident Evil'd my Silent Hill, if that makes sense.
Well, the way I look at it is the trailer was presented as the combat reveal trailer, so they were showing those features off, so that's why it was that heavy in it. But yeah, if I don't want the whole game to be like that, and I hope it's not. But I do agree with you on the volume of the darkness and the fog and stuff like that. It's huge. The atmosphere of Silent Hill. Originally, like you said, it was a limitation due to the consoles. I thought it was a very clever use of that limitation.
Particularly Silent Hill 1 on the PlayStation. Because they couldn't get the render distance and keep the frame rate up. So they were like, let's just put a fog in here. So there was another Silent Hill reveal here. We're going to cover that separately. I feel like that warrants a little more discussion. So we will come back to that one. So let's finish off some of the bigger marquee items in the state of play. We've got Judas. This is by Ken Levine and team over at Ghost Story Games. Remember, they broke away from the whole BioWare franchise and everything, started their own studio. This is Judas. So obviously, when you watch the trailer, if you did not know that this was Ghost Story Games and Ken Levine, you were probably like, man, this is ripping BioWare off for something fierce. It's
BioShock.
Definitely got the BioShock. Sorry, BioWare. Yeah, BioShock. My bad. BioWare Star Wars: The Old Republic, but not anymore. That's now Broadsword. Anyway, anyway, BioShock creator Ken Levine, thank you. Coming to PlayStation 5, Windows, and Xbox Series X when it releases. I think I've played through BioShock 1 and BioShock 2. I can't remember if I played all the way through it or not. And then I played a little bit of Infinite, but it wasn't because I didn't like it. It was because I got sidetracked. So I'm like okay, cool on BioShock. So I will give Judas a whirl, but it will not like be a day one purchase for me. I don't think, Dom.
Yeah, no, I probably won't even play this at all.
Nah,
Were you guys into BioShock at all?
not really. No.
I own it.
Really?
I
I am shocked by this development.
Bio
I am bio-shocked by this development.
Oh.
We also got Metro Awakening coming to VR sometime this year. Obviously, they showed off Dragon's Dogma 2 as well. That's coming up next month.
Yeah,
it still looks fantastic. This was like just an action trailer. We already know a ton about Dragon's Dogma 2. That's coming in March. Rise of the Ronin also coming on March. Both of those titles are March 22nd. That kind of sucks because I want to buy both of those, and that's a lot of money on the 22nd of March. And then I got really, really excited and then really disappointed. Yeah, Torchwick. I knew Torchwick was going to be excited about Judas. Torchwick loves BioShock. I got really excited for a minute and then got really disappointed. The way
you knew the franchise and disappointed for what it was?
Yes, exactly. As soon as the trailer started and some lines you could hear being spoken and everything, I was like, oh shit, are they making an Until Dawn too? I love that whole genre of game from Supermassive. Unfortunately, Supermassive just announced this week some leadership changes. Some of their like founding guy or whatever, I can't remember his name off the top of my head, forgive me, is leaving the company. Hopefully that won't do too much. And the Man of Medan series has been real hit and miss. But I really, really liked the cheesiness of Until Dawn. Being a terrible horror movie buff myself, it was absolutely great. I loved Until Dawn, so I got really excited just to find out that it's a remastered version of the original for the PlayStation 5 and PC, which I guess is cool if you've never played it. But for me, Until Dawn is not something I'm buying a remastered copy of. It just isn't.
So is your remastered gaming experience only limited to Resident Evils? Is that the only one you'll buy?
Yeah, basically. As Silent Hills. Silent Hill. I'm buying Silent Hill too.
That's fair.
I'm buying Silent Hill too.
Would you buy a Resident Evil 7 remaster?
No. I barely thought Resident Evil 4 was even worth remastering yet.
But after they did, you were like, okay, I was wrong.
Yeah, they kind of nailed it. They kind of fucking just hit it out of the park with that one.
Are you saying current newer games aren't quite in need of remaster yet?
Well, no, see, I get this one, right? Because they want to put it on the PlayStation 5 version. So I don't fault them for doing a remaster to go from 4 to 5. But one, the game looked damn good in its time anyway and still holds up relatively well. So it is kind of like in that Resident Evil 4 box for me where I'm like, I don't really think this needs a remaster, but I guess you're trying to upgrade it to the PlayStation 5.
That's how I feel about Last of Us 2.
Like, I was gonna say, what about Last of Us 2?
Last of Us 2, like I've looked at some of the side-by-sides and I'm like, I think the original one looked better.
Yeah, I thought some of the original shots that they showed looked like a lot better. Like they changed some shapes of some people's faces and stuff like that. It's like I don't like the new one. It doesn't feel right.
Like the far details, the background details, like the trees and the foliage, that stuff looks beautiful. Those are great enhancements, whatever. But that's not enough to make me buy the game again.
No, I mean, like, is it really is it really needed though? It may be.
I don't think so.
Couldn't that have just been a patch to make the
the
stuff up to date?
Do what they did with Final Fantasy VII Remake, right? The PS5 remaster.
Yeah, turn it into 3 games and a decade and a half of work.
No, I'm saying what was the upgrade was what, $15, $20, whatever, to like I'd pay that for it. I would. I'm not saying, that or more companies should do this all the time, but if you're gonna make a remaster, if you own the original, having an upgrade fee for a quarter of the cost of the actual game, yeah, I'd buy it again. But I'm not paying $60 to buy a remaster game from scratch that doesn't need it.
Yeah, and so if you haven't played Until Dawn and you even think you might enjoy it, then yeah, by all means, buy it. I'm not saying it's not worth buying. It absolutely is. If you think you're going to enjoy it, you probably will. And I mean, God, it's been out for years now. You can go watch every review and full playthrough if you even wanted to. But
if you own the original, like let's say, Mike, for you personally, let's say you own the original Until Dawn, and they go, oh, the remastered version. If you own the original, you get it for $15. You'd do it. Don't tell me you wouldn't.
I wouldn't. Not? Because there are games that I would definitely do that for. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that and they're not going to do that now anyway, right? That's a cross generation thing that they do at generation launch, particularly if their next gen version isn't quite ready yet, and they still want to get you to give them a couple of bucks. So they're not going to do that at this point. I'm not opposed to that model, and there are definitely games that I would say, okay, here's 15, 20 bucks. I'll buy the updated version of it, no problem. This isn't one of them, simply because Until Dawn was one of those games that on first playthrough, love it, great. And then you do want to play it a couple other times to try different things and see what that changes. But once you've played through those story arcs the way you want to play through, or play through every single version of the story arcs, because you can really pick up speed on subsequent playthroughs and get them done pretty quickly, there is no reason to touch that game again. Like, none. Regardless of how pretty you make it, there is zero. You have to build in a reason for me to need to play that version. And so if they don't change it,
if they added another character, you would?
If they had another character with new branching storyline, then yes, something there is worth it. But it is not one of those games that I'm like, oh yeah, let me, there is at no point next month where I'm going to be like, I feel like playing Until Dawn. Like, I've gotten everything out of Until Dawn I wanted to get out of it. I'm done with it. A remaster doesn't help that, at least for me.
Mm-hmm. That's fair.
Before we hit on Silent Hill short message, what'd you think of the state of play as a whole, Dom?
I thought it was pretty good. I mean, it didn't have what I wanted out of it, which is Kingdom Hearts 4, but it was good.
Yeah, okay.
It was good.
That'll be the state of play 2044.
No, we'll have I'm going down right now. Kingdom Hearts will be featured in a state of play this year, guaranteed.
Kingdom Hearts 4.
Yes.
Okay, you got to be specific, because they could give you a Kingdom Hearts 3.14159.
Kingdom Hearts Music Mashed Symphony.
Kingdom Hearts Pie. Kingdom Hearts 4 getting another trailer right next to Silk Song. Never gonna happen. Yod, what'd you think of the state of play as a whole?
Well, before that, they're gonna announce what Dom wants later this year, and then about 5-10 years later, we'll get an actual trailer.
Oh,
that's what I'm predicting.
There you go.
But yeah, I thought they did a pretty good job. I thought they ran a tight show, and that it gives you what you want: a little bit of talk, say hi to Kojima, and then show you a bunch of trailers. That's what I want out of state of play. That's what they gave me.
Yeah, I feel like it was just kind of mid, right? Like, there was no earth-shattering announcement that blew me away. There were a couple of things that I wanted to see, and I got to see. Mm-hmm. There was a new announcement of a Kojima espionage game, but they didn't show anything off, so it wasn't like, whoa! But it was like, hey, that's pretty cool. I'd probably put it... And you're right, they have this down now in the best way that I love, where it's like, hey, we're going to be on for 40 minutes, you're going to see 9 things, and then we're getting the hell out of here.
Right.
Like, we're out of here.
If they had something groundbreaking to announce or show you or something that would have made it a good show, but the way they present the show, they keep you watching for the next one and the next one and the next one until you finish
The next one,
show.
by the way, is this coming week because they're
Right.
doing a Final Fantasy VII Rebirth state of play by itself.
Yeah.
Right.
So they did not show that at this
Mm-hmm.
show. It's going to have its own one next week. So
It
Right,
really feels though that they've taken the format of Nintendo's
Yeah,
the direct presentations, yeah.
which is fine, which is what you need because it strings you along for the 45 minutes, and it makes so you keep watching, but it doesn't keep trying to go a full 2-3 hours where you're sitting going, come on, show me another trailer, stop talking.
Oh, you mean you're not excited for Foam Stars?
Well, I was just going to mention that, by the way. If you are even remotely interested or think you might like to try Foam Stars, do not forget that is part of PlayStation Plus in February when it launches on the 6th.
Yeah, my birthday.
If you subscribe, that's right. I keep forgetting that you're like 6 days away from mine.
Yeah.
If you subscribe to PlayStation Plus, go claim it. That way you own it forever. Otherwise, you'll have to buy it later. So don't forget, when it launches next week, that will be part of February's PlayStation Plus. You can claim Foam Stars for free. And then just keep your sub up. Okay, so there was one other thing, and I wanted to pull it out of the discussion of the state of play by itself, and that was Silent Hill: The Short Message. Because this was announced as free-to-play and immediately available on PlayStation 5 following the conclusion of the PlayStation State of Play. Now, initially, I had no idea what this was, so initially, I was not excited at all. I watched the trailer that you're seeing here, and I was like, ugh, whatever. And I also was like, oh, it's free to play. Konami, I've seen what you've done with Silent Hill and other franchises free to play on mobile. I'm not interested in these shenanigans. It's nothing like that, okay? So first off, it's about 2 to 3 hours, depending on how exploratory you're feeling, right? Because there are nods all over the place to the Silent Hill franchise. And so if you want to go explore backgrounds and stuff like that, maybe it'll take you a little longer. If you're just buzzing the story, you could probably do it in an hour and 20. It's just 3 chapters, sequential chapters of a story. It's subtle like a sledgehammer. Let me just put that out there, okay? The thing is not subtle at all. It deals with topics that could be uncomfortable or triggering for some people. I will put that out there too right now. Topics such as suicide and abuse and childhood trauma and social media pressures on teenagers and desires to fit in, being bullied. These are all topics that are explored in a not subtle way in here. And that's, as I was playing through this, you take the role of Anita, this woman that you're seeing here in the glasses, who is very down on herself, feels invisible, those types of teenage feelings, not just teenage, but they're expressed as teenage here, those types of feelings, and what you do with those. And some people that have unfortunately committed suicide, and some friends that maybe feel the same way but express it in a different way, and then of course friends that don't seem to have any of those concerns but really deep down do. I'm gonna say this. Did either of you play this?
No.
I did not get the chance. No.
Okay. Then I'll just say this. I don't want to spoil anything. There's not really much to spoil.
It's been out for a while. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, it's been out for a week.
Yeah, it's fine. That's
not even. It's been out since Wednesday.
It's fine. It's fine.
I will say this. In my first 20 to 40 minutes playing this, and it took me probably about 2 hours because I was taking my time and looking at small stuff. In my first 30 to 40 minutes, I was not engaged with the protagonist, the character that I was controlling. I got what they were trying to portray, but I thought it was so ham-fisted that even though this person had clearly had traumas and you were learning about them in a very Silent Hill way, and you very slow, right? Like, even though you could sympathize, the character wasn't likable, just like, as somebody you wanted to play as. Fast forward to when I finish it, and I thought it was incredible. I thought it was incredible. I was thinking about it for 2 hours after and talking to my son and my daughter about it. There are some powerful moments. It's not subtle. Some of the dialogue is cheesy. Some of it, there are problems. It's not perfect. I'm not putting it out there as the greatest piece of art in video game history, but it's certainly not the worst either. It delivers its message. It points out that there is hope. There is help on all of these fronts. And we all share in the blame for some of the issues caused by social media and things like that. By the way, the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline, if you right now need help, just need somebody to talk to here in the United States, pick up your phone right now and hit 988. There is somebody out there to help. You're not alone. As far as an art piece, it does what it wants to do. It delivers a message. There's lots of Silent Hill nods in it. I came to feel for these characters that I did not particularly felt engaged with to start. Very powerful ending. I did very much like it. There is a musical nod at the end for Silent Hill junkies that I'm not going to say a word about. Go play it or go watch something on YouTube for it if you want it spoiled. But there is an awesome musical Silent Hill nod at the end of it. Does it warrant the Silent Hill name, though? Is a very good question, I thought, playing through this. Like, why is the name... It is very Silent Hill-y in some aspects. The gameplay itself is very exploratory with some chase sequences, classic of Silent Hill. That's really the core game that you're playing. The rest of it is pretty narrative-driven. The last chase sequence is kind of annoying. I'll give you that one, but you get past it. You'll be fine. Once you finish it, you're at the end.
Was there weird, janky, shaky nurses, though?
It's not a nurse, but weird, janky female, shaky female. Yes.
Okay.
Not a nurse, though.
But it's not a nurse, so it's not Silent Hill.
It's not a nurse. It's not a nurse. The thing that I was talking to my kids about was, like, initially I was like, why is this a Silent Hill game besides you're giving me some Silent Hill nods? I feel like if it didn't say Silent Hill, then the message, Dom, that they would be trying to deliver would fall on a much smaller audience. So are they capitalizing a little bit on the name Silent Hill to try and get this message out to more people? Probably. Did I feel a little ick about that when I first started? Yeah. Did I feel that same way when I was done playing it? No. I'm glad you put the Silent Hill name on it. I'm glad that'll cause it to get a little more attention than it might have. Ultimately, is it worth playing through at least once? Yeah, I think so. Even if you can't empathize or sympathize because you've never been in a bullied situation or a bullying situation on social media or depression or childhood abuse and trauma, even if you've never been in those situations, it is well worth playing and taking the message away. I got to give them props for it. It's not the greatest thing in the world. It's not subtle at all, but they did a nice job with topics that you don't often see explored in dem video games, you know?
Yeah. So, but it seems interesting because anyone who's familiar with the original first couple Silent Hill games, you know, they're focused on the town of Silent Hill. And
right. This has nothing to do with that. It's in a little European city.
If you look at all the different games in the original grouping, Silent Hill, the town, it was always transformed around the main character's
Yes.
struggles, right?
Yes. That
So
very much so happens here.
right. So I think in that theme, like keeping that theme, it's still very much a Silent Hill game, but with these newer ones, and like you even look, what's the other one coming out? Silent Hill F, I think it is.
Right.
Like that's not taking place in the town of Silent Hill either. They're kind of expanding the universe of it to be Silent Hill is more of your own personal hell than it is a town somewhere. And I like that concept way more. And I think it's way more interesting and allows them to tell way more stories. And I don't know. I'm excited for the future of Silent Hill to not just be based in one town. I am.
Yeah. Havoc, it's called Silent Hill, A Short Message. And it's a free on PlayStation 5 only, unfortunately, right now. I would not be surprised to see it on other platforms. Well, I'm certainly not going to come out on Switch.
I mean,
but I would not be surprised if there was a PC version of this at some point.
Mm-hmm.
So. Hey, let's finish it up with a few quick news hits, and then we'll go do games of the week, and we'll get the hell out of here. There was a rumor earlier this week that Hasbro might have been shopping around Dungeons and Dragons, the IP itself, and primarily was talking to big Chinese corporation and gaming mogul Tencent, because Larian Studios, who obviously did Baldur's Gate 3, a D&D property, and is partially invested in by Tencent, kind of put them together to talk. Those were the rumors. Now, since the rumors broke, Hasbro has come out publicly and said, we regularly talk to Tencent and enjoy multiple partnerships with them across a number of our IPs. We don't make a habit of commenting on internet rumors, but to be clear, we are not looking to sell our D&D IP. We will keep talking to partners about how we bring the best digital experiences to our fans. We won't comment any further on speculation or rumors about potential mergers and acquisitions or licensing deals. Thought it was weird that they put the term mergers and acquisitions in there, because nobody was saying that they were going to be merged or acquired. They were saying that D&D was being shopped. Hasbro, obviously, in really bad financial position right now as a company as a whole. Toys, the toy side of their business is not doing well. Magic and Dungeons and Dragons are like really the only two that are keeping them financially viable right now. And it feels like they've been determined to set both of those divisions on fire for the last 2 years too, something we've discussed on this show, you and I, Yod, quite a bit.
Yeah.
Do you think that we would see Dungeons and Dragons sold? On the surface, it's a huge cash injection, right? But then you are liquidating one of your two only real profit streams right now. So it kind of seems a little counterintuitive. And what might have been happening here instead was the two companies were likely talking more about digital entertainment and licensing deals through there.
Yeah. Personally, I think that it was more talking about games and digital properties and stuff like that. 'cause
Right.
Why would you sell the IP for your cash cow that is one of the only things bringing money into your company at a steady pace, in which you can lend that IP out for other people to make things with that feed you money?
Yeah, and if you sell the video game rights to Tencent, I think that makes a lot more sense.
Right, because
Yeah.
they're still paying you constantly for that usage, and you're still getting a cut of that without doing any work. So why would you do that? Why would you sell it? On top of that, with Wizards of the Coast, because of Magic the Gathering, Dungeons and Dragons, they're kind of both fantasy based, and there can be crossovers with that. With your Hasbro toy division, if you make more movies, if you make more video games, you can produce toys, which feeds more money into it. So it's a whole synergy thing. You don't want to get rid of the IP, you want to lease it out to people.
Yeah, like Embracer's doing all over the place with Lord of the Rings.
Right.
Another rumor, this one coming from YouTube channel Moore's Law is Dead, often reporting pretty accurately on tech rumors. So maybe this one has a little more credence. Sony rumored to be working on another handheld device, not the Portal or whatever the hell it is, and then the Backbone and like none of those things, like an actual, Vita 2 in quotes, right? Very early production. According to him, the console is at least 2 years out, and it's not even currently greenlit for launch as of yet, but will reportedly feature 18 CUs in order to properly run PlayStation 4 titles. Additionally, it's intended to run patched down versions of PS5 titles that will be stripped back or optimized to run on handheld software. The PS5 selection would reportedly obviously be smaller, as not all of the console's titles could be expected to run correctly on a handheld. He's also reported that it's been suggested to him that the console may be intended to launch within the PlayStation 6 family of devices. If that's the case, it would likely be years and years off, considering we haven't even seen the PS5 Pro yet.
Yeah, that's way out there.
I know that this probably makes Torchwick extremely happy to see that there could potentially be a Vita 2 at some point, or whatever you want to call it, Vita 2 in quotes, in the future here. And I feel like, Dom, this had to be one of those situations where they were like, look at how good that Steam Deck's doing. Look at how good that thing's doing.
Yeah, and I mean, the Steam Deck only got the success it did because of the Nintendo Switch. I don't think without the Switch, the Steam Deck even would have existed. But this is so rough because it's like we're just getting news that Switch 2 is supposed to be this year, and if we're now talking about PlayStation 6 at this stage, it's like, is Switch 2 already dead in the water before it's released?
Right.
I just want Nintendo. I know you're going to tell me, no, it's never going to happen, but I just want Nintendo for once to just catch up. You know what I mean? Like, just catch up. Just be there and run with the big dogs. Same hardware.
Okay, so Torchwick says if it runs PS4 games, then maybe Metal Gear Solid 4. No reason they can't port a PS3 game if it can run PS4, no problem. Actually, there is a problem with that. The PlayStation 3 is notoriously terrible to try and get emulated on any other system, including PlayStation 4 and stuff like that. It's not that the tech in the game is too advanced. You're absolutely right there, Torchwick. The coding that goes into programming games for the PlayStation 3 is incredibly dumb. As far as working on any other device. It was one of the biggest reasons they were like, yeah, PlayStation 4 is not going to play PS3. Getting it to do so would be incredibly difficult and pump the cost up. So I would not expect being able to get PlayStation 3 games anytime soon on there. If it's even true at all, anyway.
Yeah.
We also got, totally separate from the state of play, a Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2 gameplay trailer and a half-hour gameplay reveal. Obviously a title I've been super excited about, even since Jason Winter was a host on here. And holy shit, am I nervous now. Oh my God.
Really?
Oh my God.
Why are you nervous?
Yeah,
okay,
what's going on here?
One, you have to play as a very specific character. Her name is Fire. The name is Dumb. You have a voice in your head that narratively, they'll explain why later, that constantly talks to you, and in the trailer and in the gameplay, it's fucking quipping all the time. It's like, I hated that in Forspoken. I don't want that. Like, your players are smarter. They can realize silence can be, let you intuit what's going on. I don't need a quippy voice of whatever, an elder or whoever the dude. Oh, God. The animations are goofy as fuck in some cases.
You don't want Navi following you around?
No. The animations are goofy. There were some good things here, too. Some of the environments looked really, really good. And then some of the animations were just goofy. Some of the dialogue was bizarre. And it's very BioWare, old school BioWare conversation trees to determine how you want to role play your character. There is no character creation. No, that's okay. There wasn't really character creation in the original Bloodlines. besides like, you know, picking some of your backstory options. Like you didn't pick your hairstyles and stuff like that. But so I'm okay with that. But this seems incredibly linear. We weren't shown, and hopefully we will be, anything on the role-playing front besides you being familiar or reading in-game what the different VTM clans are, and then role-playing your dialogue options that way. But you don't have to. I am really nervous about this. I'll tell you what, if they would take Bloodlines 2 off of the title, I wouldn't care. I wouldn't care. I'd say, oh, cool, it's a game in the Vampire the Masquerade universe. But because it has the name Bloodlines 2, I'm incredibly nervous for this one now. It did not look great.
But it's your vampire game, Mike.
I'm hugely concerned for this one, Yod. It did not look great.
Yeah. Those options for talking just they so reminded me of early Mass Effect stuff on conversations.
I mean, it can't be as bad as Redfall, right?
You say that.
I would hope not.
Dom, you have now put that out there.
I've spoken it into an existence.
Yes,
I mean, and this is the danger, right? I'm going to give you the list of games developed by the Chinese Room, the company that is developing this. Obviously, Paradox is publishing it.
Before you go into that, I always, for some reason, I don't know why, I always thought the Chinese Room was a Chinese company.
Nope. And remember, this has been in development hell for a while, right? They changed developers. And now looking back on some of the stuff that the previous developer was showing at the time, I'm like, that feels a little more Bloodlines 2 and where we're headed with this. So some titles that you will know of. 2012, Dear Esther. 2013, Amnesia, A Machine for Pigs. So you probably know that franchise, even if you haven't played that particular one. Everybody's Gone to the Rapture in 2015. Dear Esther Landmark Edition and So Let Us Melt in 2017. Little Orpheus in 2020. And Still Wakes the Deep in 2024, along with Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2. Not exactly, and we said this at the time, not exactly a developer known for games like what we all probably think Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2 should be.
Mm-hmm.
Very walking simulator company. Maybe a Death Stranding 2 would have been more appropriate. I don't know. I am incredibly nervous for this. I'm still hopeful, but yeah, I'm a little nervous. Hey, let me show you this picture. Whoops, wrong one. Let me show you this great little image that I forgot to load in B-roll, so I'm literally loading it right now. Excuse the black screen for a second. Yeah, I got it. Look, we've got the New Jerusalem Church and their logo. And I see Torchwick dying laughing in his window on Discord. This comes to us from Fourth Dimension on Reddit, so thank you. They speculated, hey, should I bring this to the attention of somebody? For those of you that maybe haven't figured it out by now, that's the Steam logo. Technically, yes, they've inverted the colors. Two different things, yeah. Yep. Three, yeah. You got to hit that 30%. Wind River Flies. What a great comment in chat. Seems like my kind of religion. Where do I sign up?
I mean, I think it's mentioned in the article. What does that have to do with New Jerusalem Church?
Everything.
Yeah, the best piece of speculation that I saw was somebody commenting that was like, I know exactly what happened. somebody related to the people that run the church was like, "Oh yeah, I know how to use Photoshop. I'll get you something," and just there it was instead of paying a graphic designer to get you a logo.
And now it's going to cost them money because, as like I said, I believe we've spoken about it before. With trademark law, once it comes to the attention of the trademark holder, they have to prosecute or they will lose the trademark.
Yeah, you have to protect your IPs, even if you think you might be stretching it a little bit.
Yeah,
Famously, the Elder Scrolls going after a game called Scrolls.
Right, but the whole purpose of it is that you have to.
Yeah.
Even if it's like your brother or your friend or whatever.
Well, I mean, you don't have to come after them legally, but you do have to at least send them a note that says, "Hey, cease and desist, take that down."
And if they don't, then you have to take it to
right.
the next step and stuff like that. But either way, you have to do something about it, or else you lose the trademark. Unlike with copyright, which you can let things slide sometimes at your own discretion.
Ewan McGregor gave a little update on Obi-Wan Season 2, and I gotta say, it doesn't really sound all that positive, unfortunately. As much as I would really like it. I liked Obi-Wan Season 1.
So this is becoming a TV show and movie review as well?
Yeah, exactly.
Is that what the show is going to be now?
McGregor told Variety that he would love to make a Season 2, but there's no talk of it yet. And then he said, "Hey, there's a lot going on at Disney," but he didn't elaborate any further. I feel like if there's nothing going on it yet, that's really not a good thing because Season 1 ended a long time ago at this point when you talk about running serialized TV shows.
Yeah.
Yes and no. So, yeah, it did end a long time ago. But because of everything that's been going on with like the whole SAG-AFTRA and stuff like that, the whole strike, and on top of that, Disney reshuffling how they're handling things. So a lot of reorganization is going on with what they're scheduling and how they're releasing things. So just because they haven't talked about anything yet, it still might be on the table if there is enough interest for it. Because like with the change of the head of Disney recently, and for example, the Marvel movies, the latest movie, I think, the Marvels was the last one that was finished underneath the last head, which the whole concept of their scheduling was more, faster, 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 more movies, more TV, constantly piling on and on and on, stacking as much of the as much as possible. With the new head, it's more about quality over quantity. So there is still a chance.
So you're saying there's a chance?
There's a chance because of the way things have been shuffled and the way things are working now behind the scenes at Disney, which is obviously the parent company of Marvel and LucasArts and all that stuff. They want more quality shows and movies so people can enjoy them and actually go not burn out like they were before, where they were stacking 4 Marvel movies and 3 TV shows, and you have to watch them all before the culmination comes out in a month.
I always kind of looked at Obi-Wan as like it was like a 1-season miniseries or whatever, and then like if it got a second season, sure, great, whatever. If not, they could still do it 5-6 years later. Like there's nothing stopping it because like you look at shows like Heroes, right? Heroes finished airing in like 2010, I think it was, and then season 5 that they called Heroes Reborn came out 5 years later in 2015, and I thought that was phenomenal. And like you see even like with Dexter, right? Dexter came back, and I think that was a much better ending, arguably to some, than the original series. I'm not saying it was a good one for what it is now, but it was better than the original ending for sure. But Star Wars is weird like that because they've been telling them out of order forever. It doesn't. They don't need to do it in any kind of sequence like that. Like, and especially with Disney right now, you look at what Disney's doing. Right, we just got Indiana Jones. They're coming out with a Honey, I Shrunk the Kids sequel called Shrunk right now. Right, and Rick Moranis is coming back to reprise his role. Like he's coming out of retirement to do this. Like, so anything is possible in this day and age with stuff. I'm not too worried about it.
The Ghostbusters movie's coming out now.
Yeah, I mean, May.
But yeah, also, how long was Obi-Wan in that desert for? There's plenty of stories.
Let's go do games of the week. Games of the week is the way we end every episode of the Gaming Gumbo here. It's where each of us is going to give you a game. Could be a video game, board game, mobile game, card game, anything where we've played, playing, or haven't played, but think you should try out. And you let us know in the comments who gave the best recommendation and give one of your own. Yod, you're up first.
All right. Since we didn't touch about it too much with that Godzilla mention, I started playing Dave the Diver because of the Godzilla mention. And it's a lot of fun. The base game is out on Switch and Steam right now. You know, it's coming for PS5 later, and of course the Godzilla DLC. So, Dave the Diver, go fish and make sushi.
Fair enough.
Made it to chapter 2 in that game.
Dom.
Yeah. I am actually, we talked about this one 2 weeks ago, last time I was on the show. We speculated whether or not I was going to play it and whether or not I'd ever get around to it. But yeah, I've been playing Pal World. I've been idling in my base more than I've actually been playing, but you know, I've been playing it. No, I have like 95 different pals. I'm working my way through. I'm almost level 40, so.
Well, so I've been cruising around. I gave recommendation for the Prince of Persia demo 2 shows ago, and then Prince of Persia itself after it came out last week. I've completed it. I have not platted it yet. I don't know if I'm going to. There's one thing to finish side quests, all the side quests, and one of them's the impossible climb, which is some, I don't know. Maybe I'll do it, maybe I won't. I can get 2 bells, but I can't get the third one yet. And still land without dying. So it's a pain in the ass. I don't know if I'll actually finish it or not. I might get bored. But that made me go, okay, I mean, I need another Metroidvania now. Man, that really scratched an itch. It was a great game. Absolutely loved it. And so I went back to a game that I had not finished. And I am playing Blasphemous 2. And I know that's a little later in 2023. It came out in like, whatever, July or August, something like that. But yes, another Metroidvania, Blasphemous 2, definitely a thumbs up. Chat, don't go anywhere. After the show here, we're going to have Torchwick on the stream. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Good to see you. You weren't here last week. You're here this week. You won't be here next week because you and I will be seeing the monster trucks. But what are you playing tonight?
I'm going to be playing more Final Fantasy VII. Y'all
oh, we still haven't beaten this damn thing yet. Holy hell, man. No, I felt like I had to, right? I felt like I had to for
I was on
Yod's
top
sake.
of it this time, too. I was going to tell him to shut up before he said anything, and then you got in the way.
Where are you at?
We just went up Gaia Cliff, the Glacier Cliff, and we're about to make it to the North Crater.
Oh, so you're disc 2 if we're back on the PlayStation 1. Right?
Yes.
Yeah, disc 2. So you're getting there. You're getting there.
I'm
Slowly encroaching on the halfway point.
I'm over halfway. I'm like 3/4 of the way. I did most of the side content in disc 1. Most of that's out of the way already.
Don't go anywhere, chat. We just need a minute or two after the show here to shut it down, relabel things, and Torchwick will be back up. Again, no Gaming Gumbo next Saturday, but Torchwick tonight, Tark tonight, then we'll have the Relic Grind on Thursday as normal, and then Tark on Saturday night. Until next time that we're all here, Yod, where can everybody find you?
Yod Artworks on the socials, and especially on otakudomecomic.com, where I do a webcomic once a week. It drops on Fridays, and right here on Gaming Gumbo.
Dom?
You can find me down below at Itzista.
I'm Mike Byrne. You can follow me right there at MagicMan1, but more importantly, follow at RC Radio, RAIDEO. You'll know every time we're going live with a podcast, a stream, some Final Fantasy trading cards, or anything else. Stay safe. See you on the servers.